You've probably walked through your front door 1,000 times this month, keys in one hand, groceries in the other, thinking about dinner deadlines or that phone call you've been putting off. But there's something else that crosses that threshold with you every single time. Energy, vibration, intention. And whether you believe in it or not, your home is constantly absorbing all of it. The tension from work, the worry from the news, the silent weight of things left unsaid. And over time, without even realizing it, that energy builds up, quietly jamming the flow of peace, focus, even your money. Now here's the part that might surprise you. Something as simple, as ordinary as a bulb of garlic might be the shift your home's been waiting for. Not in the kitchen, not in your cooking, but placed intentionally by the front door. This isn't superstition or wishful thinking. For generations across cultures, garlic has been used as a natural filter, not for dust or toxins, but for energy. A quiet guardian that doesn't need to be blessed, lit, or prayed over. It just needs to be placed, left alone for 3 nights, and let to do what it's always done: absorb, deflect, restore. If you've ever felt like every time things start going right, something falls apart, or if money always feels one step ahead of you no matter how hard you work, it might not be you. It might be the energy around your door that's been saying no when you've been saying yes. Tonight, I'll show you why this tiny ritual, placing garlic at your threshold for just 3 nights, can do more than cleanse. It can unlock. And in a world this loud, sometimes it takes something quiet to finally break the block. Part 1, soft story where light gets stuck at the door. She didn't believe in energy, not really. She believed in hard work, in doing the right thing, in keeping the bills paid and the fridge full. She believed in habits, wiping the counters every night, watering the plants on Sundays, folding laundry in silence while the news murmured in the background. She believed in that soft ache between the shoulder blades that told her she'd done enough for the day. But lately, even after everything was checked off the list, something still didn't feel right. The house was clean, quiet, predictable, and yet she could feel a pressure she couldn't name. Not a sound, not a smell, just a kind of heaviness that hung in the corners. Like the light didn't reach the whole room, like joy or rest or luck was trying to come in but kept getting turned around at the door. It started small. She'd misplace things more often, drop her keys, forget names. The coffee never stayed warm. Then came the restless nights. The tightening in her chest she blamed on age or maybe just another round of stress. And then the money, not big disasters, just slow erosion. A late fee here, a broken appliance there. Unexpected bills that piled up like dust, quiet but stubborn. She didn't tell anyone because what could she say? That the house felt off, that the air had gotten thick, that even when nothing was wrong, something didn't feel right. But one night, sitting alone with a cold mug of tea and too many unanswered questions, she remembered something her grandmother once said. If your house starts feeling heavier than your thoughts, it's not your mind, it's your door. At first, it made no sense. A door, what does that have to do with tension, with money, with this strange undercurrent of unease? But then she looked at it, really looked at it. The front door. It was solid, sure, but lifeless. No light by the frame. No plants nearby. Just a rug that hadn't been shaken in weeks and a spot on the floor that never quite dried after mopping. She noticed how often she came in carrying stress and how the air inside never seemed to shift. Like whatever came through the door stayed. And so she did something simple, quiet, almost ridiculous. She placed a small pouch of garlic beside the door, not as a charm, not out of desperation, but as a kind of invitation. A soft act of defiance against whatever had gone stale. She didn't expect anything. But on the second night, she slept without waking. On the third, the air felt easier to breathe. And the day after, an overdue payment arrived with an apology she never expected. A small thing, but real. She didn't tell her family, not yet. But she moved a chair so sunlight could reach that corner again. She bought a new rug. And when she walked through the door the next day, it felt like the room finally exhaled. Here's the truth most people don't say out loud. Sometimes the biggest shifts in our lives don't start with action, they start with atmosphere. It's not that you're unlucky or not working hard enough. It's that your space may not be able to hold the life you're trying to build. And your front door, yes, that ordinary threshold, is the first gate of energy. Every emotion, every person, every thought crosses it. And without something to filter, to guard, to stabilize, the noise seeps in, it piles up, it sticks. Garlic in its simplicity does what we forget to do. It absorbs without asking, protects without noise, guards without judgment. When placed intentionally, especially by your door, it becomes a quiet reminder that your home deserves protection as much as your heart does. This isn't about magic, it's about resonance. It's about noticing what's been stuck, The light that never fully enters, the luck that almost arrived, the peace that hovers just outside, waiting for a space that can actually receive it. If anything in your life has felt stalled, stale, or strangely heavy lately, start with the door. Not by painting it, not by decorating it, but by honoring it. Clear the dust, sweep the rug, and maybe, just maybe, place a clove of garlic in a quiet pouch nearby. Not because it solves everything, but because sometimes it's the smallest shift in energy that finally lets the light. Part 2. What garlic really does a filter for fortune. Garlic doesn't look like much, it doesn't sparkle, it doesn't buzz with technology or promise a quick fix. It sits there, quiet, pale, tucked in the corner of your kitchen drawer, waiting to flavor your next meal. But for centuries, across continents, cultures, and quiet households, garlic has held a role far greater than seasoning. Not as a symbol, not even as a superstition, but as a filter. A living, breathing filter for the invisible things we never talk about, but always feel. Think about this. Every day we clean what we can see, we scrub the counters, wipe down the mirrors, vacuum the rugs, but what about the things we can't touch with a sponge? The tension that floats after an argument, the stale heaviness that lingers after bad news, the weight of financial fear carried in silence, room to room. These things don't disappear just because we pretend not to notice. They settle, in corners, in the air, and most often right by the places energy enters, the doors, the windows, the spaces we walk through again and again, never realizing we're breathing in more than air. That's where garlic comes in, not as magic, but as nature's energetic sponge. A root that grows underground, close to the stillness of the earth, garlic carries a duality few other plants hold. Its outer layers are dry, papery, protective. Inside, it's potent, alive, intense. It doesn't just flavor, it cuts through, clears, purifies. When you place garlic in your home, not chopped, not cooked, but whole and intact, you're introducing an anchor for stability. It pulls in the noise, the clutter, the heaviness, and it holds it without asking for attention, without disrupting your decor, without needing praise. It simply does what it does best, balance. But what does that mean, really? Let's talk about money. Because for many of us, money isn't just numbers on a screen. It's tied to security, to safety, to how we sleep at night. And when the energy around us is blocked, when fear and doubt are circulating in our space, it creates a kind of static that repels opportunity. You might not see it, but you'll feel it in missed chances, in second guessing, in money slipping away faster than it arrives. Garlic doesn't generate wealth, but it removes the interference that makes wealth feel distant, unreachable. Delayed, it clears the field, so that what's meant to arrive can. There's a reason it's placed near doorways in many traditions. Because the door is not just where you enter, it's where energy enters. And if your door is unguarded, if the air there feels heavy, stale, or off, every step inside carries that frequency deeper into your space. Garlic stands as a silent gatekeeper, absorbing what shouldn't enter, deflecting what doesn't belong. It's not dramatic, it's not showy, but it's steady. And sometimes that's exactly what fortune needs to arrive, stability. The beauty of garlic is that it works without needing belief. You don't have to light it, you don't have to chant. You simply place it with care, with respect, and let it do what it's done for thousands of years. Absorb, guard, neutralize. Whether it's placed beside your door, beneath your bed, or in the corner of your workspace, garlic creates an energetic boundary. Not a wall, not a shield, but a kind of soft perimeter where clarity can rise, where chaos is softened, where good things feel welcome. You may wonder, how can something so simple hold that kind of power? But maybe power has never been about loudness. Maybe it's about consistency. Garlic doesn't need attention to be effective, it just needs presence. And when you begin to treat it not just as food, but as a tool, something shifts, not just around you, but inside you. You start noticing the difference between spaces that feel open and those that feel closed. You begin to sense when your home is inviting versus when it's congested. And in that awareness, your relationship with abundance changes because you're no longer chasing it, you're making space for it. In our modern world, we've made everything complicated, but energy isn't complicated. It flows or it doesn't, it settles or it moves. Garlic is the in-between, the bridge, the quiet force that helps that flow return without drama, without effort. Just a clove, in the right place, doing what your home needs most, filtering what enters and gently releasing what no longer belongs. So if things in your life feel like they're piling up, if you've been carrying stress that doesn't seem to have a name, if you've worked hard, stayed strong, done everything you're supposed to, but still feel like fortune is bypassing your front door, try placing garlic just once with intention. Not because it's a miracle, but because sometimes the most profound shifts come from things we've always had, but never looked at the right way. Because garlic doesn't just flavor the meal, it balances the air. And sometimes it's not your effort that's failing. It's the environment that's not yet ready to receive the reward. And that quietly, humbly, powerfully is what garlic really does. Part 3. The ritual: how to place garlic for flow. Not every blockage in your life shows up as a broken pipe or a closed door. Sometimes it's quieter, like the feeling of always being one step behind your goals, or wondering why, no matter how many times you clean your space or rearrange your day, something still feels off. Maybe it's the way your plans fall through at the last minute, or how your energy dips the moment you walk through the front door. You've done the practical things, paid your bills, showed up, stayed kind, but something in the air feels like it's holding you back. If that's you, this ritual isn't about belief, it's about relief. And the garlic, it's not magic, it's a pattern interrupt. A way to signal to your space that you're ready to release what's stuck and let something better in. The ritual begins with a choice, a quiet one. You choose a whole garlic bulb, dry, firm, unbroken, not for cooking, not to eat, but to place as a symbol, as a tool. You don't have to believe in energy work to know that everything carries a tone, and some things, like garlic, know how to hold what we can't see. It's not loud, but it listens. Take that bulb and wrap it in soft, breathable cloth, cotton or linen, nothing synthetic, nothing glossy. Keep it humble, clean and light. This isn't a display, it's a signal. When you hold that wrapped garlic in your hand, you're not holding a superstition. You're holding a quiet reminder that even the smallest action, done with intention, can invite movement, even in the most stagnant places. Now go to your front door. Stand there a moment, not rushing, just notice the sounds, the stillness, the patterns of coming and going. This is the threshold where all things enter: news, emotion, luck, conversation, fatigue. Most people pass through without pausing, but today you won't. Choose a spot just beside the door, inside your home. Not out, not in full view. This isn't about showing off, it's about anchoring. It could be behind a shoe rack, tucked on a small shelf, resting in the corner where you always toss your keys. You're not hiding it, but you're letting it be quiet. Let it become part of the room, not the center of it. Place it there, wrapped and ready, and then walk away. That's it. No prayers, no mantras, no right moon phase. Just let it be. For 3 full nights, don't move it, don't check it. You don't expect lightning bolts. Garlic doesn't flash, it filters. And while it sits, it does what it's always done. Absorb the weight that you couldn't name, neutralize the static that you couldn't trace. The heaviness near the door, the tension from last week's argument, the invisible fog that keeps your space from feeling like it belongs to you again. And then on the 4th morning, notice, that's all. You might not feel a shift like thunder, but maybe the hallway smells fresher, or the light from the window stretches farther than it used to. Maybe you wake up less tired, or the email you'd been waiting for suddenly lands in your inbox. This isn't superstition, it's sensitivity. When energy flows, so do results. When pressure lifts, so does clarity. Still, garlic doesn't last forever. Like any filter, it fills up, so check it after a few weeks. If it starts to shrivel, darken, or mold, it's done its job. Thank it. Remove it gently. Wrap it in paper and bury it in the ground if you can, or discard it with respect. And when you're ready, replace it with a fresh one, just as quiet, just as simple. This ritual is not about fixing your life, it's about resetting the current. Your front door may be letting in more than groceries and guests. It may be letting in strain, doubt, or even your own unspoken fears. Garlic doesn't fight those things, it holds them, neutralizes them, clears a path for what wants to arrive: peace, momentum, even abundance. Not by force, but by making space. You don't need incense or bells or expensive crystals. You need a moment of clarity, a small object with purpose, a home that feels like it's breathing again. That's what this garlic ritual does, not for show, not for ceremony, but for flow. You don't have to talk about it, you don't have to explain it. You'll know it's working when your house feels lighter without opening a window. When the phone rings and it's good news. When money doesn't feel blocked or like it slips through your hands. When your sleep deepens and the silence at night feels warm again instead of empty. Let the garlic hold the weight for a while. Let it protect your threshold like the quiet keeper it is. Because sometimes what keeps abundance out isn't a lack of effort, but a lack of space for it to land. This is the ritual. This is the invitation. No candles, no rituals. Just the reminder that your home is listening. And finally, through this small act, you're answering back. Part 4. Reflection. Luck wasn't late, just blocked. Sometimes we mistake silence for absence. When the job doesn't come, when the check doesn't arrive, when the phone stays quiet, we start to believe luck has forgotten us. that maybe we missed our window, that it's too late to shift what feels stuck. But here's the truth. Luck was never late. It was waiting for the space to land, waiting for you to clear the weight in the air, waiting for the resistance around you to loosen its grip. It's easy to think abundance only comes to those who hustle the hardest. But most women past a certain age know that's only half the story. You can do everything right and still feel like things pass you by. You can show up, give, stretch, sacrifice, and still wonder why nothing's flowing back. That's not failure, that's blockage. And most of the time, it's not even yours. Energy isn't visible, but its effects are. The late payments, the broken appliances, the conversations that never quite resolve, the room you avoid sitting in because something about it just feels off. These aren't coincidences, they're patterns, and the moment you start noticing them, you're already doing the work, because noticing is the beginning of restoration. The garlic ritual isn't about folklore. It's not about fixing your finances with a clove. It's about doing one small, symbolic act that shifts your position in the story, from waiting for change to allowing it, from absorbing chaos to clearing space. It tells your home and your heart that you're not frozen, you're paying attention, you're choosing to receive. When you place the garlic by your door, it doesn't beg the universe for help. It doesn't shout for answers. It simply says, I'm ready. And in that small shift, something deep begins to move, because your house hears you, your life hears you. And so does the quiet fortune that's been circling, looking for a place to land. We often think energy work means effort, but sometimes it means surrender, letting go of the need to push. Releasing the stories that told you success had to be loud, fast, or hard, because luck doesn't always knock. Sometimes it waits for the noise to fade before it steps in. Sometimes it needs a space that feels soft enough to stay. Look around your space now. What has changed since the ritual? And not just the air, but your breath, your sleep, the tone of your mornings. Maybe the arguments have softened. Maybe the heaviness has lifted just a little. Maybe you finally opened that bill and it wasn't as bad as you feared. These are signs, not of magic, but of motion, of things unsticking, of flow returning where it once stalled. And the most beautiful part, you didn't force it, you made space for it. You cleared the static. You removed the weight from your front door, both literally and energetically. You said, I trust that good things can enter here again. This reflection isn't about looking back with regret. It's about seeing clearly that what felt missing was never gone. It was simply waiting for the invitation. And you've given it through one small, consistent gesture, through stillness, through softness, through a choice to let your home support you instead of silently draining you. You don't have to repeat the ritual every week. You don't have to obsess over results, but do pause long enough to notice the quiet changes. That's where the truth lies, in how your shoulders drop more easily, in how your mind isn't spiraling as much, in how the door opens now with less resistance, as if even the air knows you're not holding the same weight. You've shifted the current, not with force, but with clarity, with willingness, with something as simple and as profound as a garlic bulb in the right place at the right time. So no, luck wasn't late, it was never far, it was simply circling, looking for a clear path home. And now, because of you, it has won. Final, so maybe tonight the only thing you did was place a bulb of garlic by your door. No music, no ritual, no ceremony, just you, your home, and a quiet decision to shift the current. And maybe that felt too small to matter, but what you did wasn't small at all. You gave your space a signal. You gave your nervous system a pause. You told the energy around you, I'm clearing a path, I'm ready for peace, for flow, for what I deserve to finally reach me without resistance. Because we live in a world that moves fast, that tells us everything has to be fixed with urgency, intensity, noise. But the truth is, some of the most powerful shifts begin in silence, in softness, in moments like this one, when you choose to believe that your home is not just a shelter, but a system, that what surrounds you shapes you, and what you allow in becomes part of your life. You've learned now, energy builds up. It clings to corners, settles in air, rides in through conversations, memories, even hopes you haven't spoken aloud. And garlic, of all things, works not because it's magical, but because it's biological. It absorbs, it reacts, it holds. And it reminds us that healing doesn't have to be loud to be real. So wherever you are tonight, in a house you've lived in for 40 years, or a new place that still feels unfamiliar, I hope this ritual brought you back to something essential, the knowing that your environment can either hold you back or hold you up. Thank you for walking through this with me, for listening, for trying something different, and for choosing presence over pressure. May your home feel lighter tomorrow. May your luck feel less delayed. And may the next good thing, whatever it is, find its way to your door and feel welcome enough to stay. Good night and thank you.